don't know how I could have gone so long without finding Handmade Hero. Literally, every question I've been asking about game development is answered here. It's not just what, but also how. It's not what you can do, it's how you can do it. I hung around a lot of programming circles, and I had never heard of Casey Muratori once. And yet, now that I know about him, and I mention him in these circles, people simply cite that they knew about him, but he's controversial, and they dislike bringing him up. I think people need to bring this stuff up. I remember I had spent a few years getting burned by object-oriented, and others would commonly critique my code on a surface level for arbitrarily not being enough files, for not being enough functions, for all kinds of non-helpful things. Things that if I did them, it wouldn't actually help me make programs. I rapidly leveled up in programming when I finally found these resources and applied them to what I've been teaching myself over the years. Here's a good selection of resources that nobody told me about. Casey Muratori, Handmade Hero. Casey Muratori, blog series on The Witness. Jonathan Blow, What Went Wrong in Software Development. Jonathan Blow, The Most Important Talk on Programming. Mike Acton, Data-Oriented Design in C++. And this stuff is just the start. There's a whole lot of resources in this sphere that you will find if you start exposing yourself to it. I think a good way to take resources and advice is redigesting it for yourself. The issue is to take something as dogmatically correct, whether functions should be less than 10 lines or more, whether a game should be 2 files or 200 files, whether you should use object-oriented or data-oriented. It's all non-helpful. Try everything and see what works. For me, keeping my game in a few files and having functions that are thousands of lines works. But here's the important point. I don't do it for the sake of having a few files, and the sake of having functions that are thousands of lines. My focus is not to write functions that are thousands of lines. That's too generic. I focus on making code that fits the project. There are lots of nuances in why we do things, and having arbitrary criteria makes it harder to do good things. Perhaps it does help you to not do bad things too, but rather than a dull chisel, I prefer a sharp chisel, even if I can cut myself with it. And when you cut yourself, you learn.